Hey, 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 my friends. Hope everyone's having a good evening. I had a great weekend, had my grandson with us all weekend, and he's about to be 1 year old. And I love that little kid. He has just been, he's such a good little baby, and he is fun. He's getting to that fun age where he's crawling around and not quite walking yet, but standing up and falling down and laughing and making all kinds of noise all day. He's just brought a lot of joy to me and Ashley. So we are enjoying having our first grandson, and this weekend was really really good. He was a little sick, but we made it through. It gave his mom and dad a little break from him. So uh, hope y'all had a good weekend too. Wanted to talk a little bit about one of the reasons why I think that we have found ourselves as a nation, as a state, in the position that we are now, where we are basically ruled by a bunch of elite pedophile, pedophiles or pedophile protectors. Um, and why it is that we can't seem to get government that does what it says it's going to do, politicians that do what they say they're going to do, and why we see our government becoming more and more lawless. Think a lot about this stuff. Most of y'all that know me know that I think about it probably too much, but can't help it. I've tried to focus on other things and it just keeps pulling me back in, so got to go with it. So I I know that there's a lot of there's several problems that our society faces. You know, our political system is just a symptom of our culture and our society. And I know that there's several problems among the people. Um, Apathy. A lot of people just don't care, don't pay attention. Complacency, where they might know what's going on, but they don't really feel motivated to do anything about it, or even like do any research or anything. They might see, recognize kind of what's going on here, that they're lying, and but they just don't feel any need to do anything about it. They're just kind of complacent. And then there's ignorance, which is just un, uninformed people making choices. There's a lot of voters that out there that are uninformed. They think they're informed, but they're not. Most of them are propagandized real heavily. And so, between those three problems, I mean, that does a lot of damage to a society when you have widespread apathy, complacency, and ignorance. But one of the big problems I've noticed among voters, and I've been politically active for about 17 years now. One thing I've noticed about a lot of voters is that they lack principles. They lack basically principles are like personal your own personal set of codes or laws that you stick to. These are what govern your choices and your life. It's like if you're If you as a person were a government, these would be the laws that run your government. And so you have to stick to those laws. If you ignore the laws, then you become lawless, or in this case, it'd be unprincipled. And so I think the reason why we have such a lawless government is because we have lawless people, people that they may be law-abiding people, but they have no principles. They have no guiding values that really govern their life and that they stick to. And when people don't have principles, they're really easy to control. They're easy to sway. They're easy to manipulate because they have nothing to hold them firm to keep them from being swayed. That's why you see pro-life people that support war, because they're not sticking to that principle of being pro-life, and they're allowing somebody or some message to convince them to support killing people, killing innocents. Because lots of innocent people get killed in war, as we're seeing now. So it's that lack of principle that I think, especially among American voters, is what really contributes to people like my congressman, Jake Elsey, a very unprincipled person, somebody who is easily bought off, somebody who does not represent the people of his district. He only represents the donors. And that is like the military industrial complex and what I call the Epstein class, the Washington establishment. And you get enough of those guys in there with no principles, and they're easily controlled, which is why we see our Congress under the control of a foreign country. Our president is under the control of a foreign country because they are unprincipled people. Donald Trump has no principles. That's why he can sway from one side of an issue to the other so easy. Why he can tell you one thing one day and say something completely different the next, because he has no principles, no guiding moral compass. That's why he can say he's not going to start any new wars and then go and start one. Because there's no principles there. So I just wanted to get into some principles that I have that I think could help people. It's really helped me establishing these principles, and it's really 3 simple principles when it comes to my political views. These are just political views on how I view what level of government, what size government, and how much freedom we have. So my first principle is I believe in individual rights. I believe in the rights of every individual. I don't believe in collective rights. I don't believe in women's rights, men's rights, black rights, white rights, Jewish rights, whatever it is. I don't believe in any of that. I believe in individual rights. And I believe that those 3 rights can be, or all those rights can be basically summed up into 3 words. And it's from John Locke, life, liberty, and property. Every individual has a right to their life. Every individual has a right to their liberty. That means that they can come and go as they please. They can travel as they please without being hindered and all that kind of stuff. And they they have the right to speak out. They have the right to defend themselves. They have a right to due process. They have a right to be safe from search and all unlawful search and seizure, all that kind of stuff. So your basic freedoms are kind of all there under that one word, liberty. And your property rights. That means you have the right to control and maintain who comes on and off your property, what your property is used for. You have the rights of your property. And if something happens to you, then you have the right to pass that property on down to your children or to whomever you please. So, but you have the right to that property. And I also believe that those individual rights come from our Creator, that they were not given to us by the Constitution. It's not something that only Americans have. Rights are not something that only Americans have. And if you believe in the founding of this country, and that then you believe that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. That means we are endowed by our Creator. That means He gave them to us. And so, unless you think that He only created Americans, then He gave them to everybody. And so we need to realize that I think there's a lot of Americans that think that rights only belong to Americans. And that's not the way that our founders believed it to be. And that's definitely not the way that it should be or the way that I think that it is. So, our rights do not come from paper and ink. They do not come from a flag, and they do not come from wars. There has not been a war in my lifetime or in my dad's lifetime that was fought for our freedom or for our lives or our property. Most of these wars have been fought for bankers, for the military-industrial complex, for fat cats to get fatter. And I believe that that government inherently violates rights. I mean, even the most limited government is probably going to violate people's rights. We were very much more limited government when John Adams signed the Alien and Sedition Acts. So even a very limited government is perfectly capable of violating rights. And so we need to recognize that government is at the most a necessary evil, and I'm not even sure that it's all that necessary, because it sure does seem to cause a lot of problems. But I do believe in limited government. I would consider myself a minarchist. I would, in my utopian world, there would be no government. So I guess my ideology would be anarchism with zero government. In my perfect world, we would all have principles. So we would all be able to govern ourselves, and we wouldn't need the government. The only reason why anybody thinks we need the government is because of the unprincipled among us, the people with no principles, and the evil. There's evil among us. And between the two of them, that causes a dire need for government, because you have evil people that mix with unprincipled people, and you have what we have today. And my other thing with government that's always pushed me more towards the anarchy side is this question right here. If you can't trust people with their freedom, which would be anarchy, how can you trust people with power, which is government? Just something to think about. Do on that one for a while. Uh, that one got me thinking and pulled me more towards that we don't need the government side. Uh, so moving on here, let's see. So if I hear a lot of conservative people. They say that they're conservative, and they say that they believe in limited government. But then you will see them pushing for a war of aggression, like what we're doing right now. There's a lot of conservatives right now, self-proclaimed conservatives, that are pushing for this war of aggression, and that's just an unprincipled thing to do, because limited governments do not fight wars of aggression. A limited government is only going to fight when absolutely necessary to defend themselves. They don't start wars. So the idea of a limited government starting a war is just a contradiction. And when you have principles that contradict other principles, or when you violate your principles, then you really don't have any principles at all. And so limited governments don't have mass surveillance, which is what our government is building now. They don't force corporations to sell them so that they can sell to their other party. Uh, they don't force a corporation like TikTok to sell to them, to the government, so that they can turn around and sell it to another party, like our government did under Trump. They don't meddle in the affairs of other countries like our government is doing almost all over the dadgum world. Limited governments do not provide education, housing, or medical care. That's not limited government. That is socialism. And I'm not a socialist. I don't believe in socialism. I can't believe in socialism if I don't believe that government operates properly. Government is inherently evil because it draws in evil people that only want to rule over other people. So why would you want to give them that much control over people's lives where they're controlling their medical care? Why would you want a group of evil people to control people's medical care? Why would you want a group of evil people to control where people live, what kind of housing they have? Why would you want them to have that level of control? It makes no sense. Why would you want them to control people's education? Well, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand how anybody who realizes that the government is evil and corrupt would want to continue having the government educate children. Makes no sense to me. So there's a lot of things that people who say they believe in limited government, there's a lot of things that they support that are antithetical to that principle, and it violates the principle. So when you violate your principles, like I said, you might as well not even have principles, because that's not a principle. You're basically breaking your own laws, your own personal laws, your own codes. Principles don't allow people to vote for the lesser of two evils, because if you have principles, you don't vote for evil. Principled vote can't go to the lesser of two evils, because a principled vote does not you can't support evil. People have asked me how the government got so bad. You keep voting for the lesser of two evils, and then you still have people wondering, why is the government evil? Because we keep voting for evil. It may be the lesser of two evils, but it's still evil. So you'll never catch me, you'll never see anybody talk me into voting for one candidate in order to vote against the other one. Like I knew Kamala Harris was a train wreck, but there's no way I was going to vote for Trump. And I will admit, 2024, I got close because of all the hype, the promises he made about the turning over the Epstein files and the 9/11 files, JFK files. We were going to get truth. Never really believed it, but I wanted to, and just couldn't. Something told me, you can't vote for the guy. You can't vote for him because you've already seen what he'll do, and you just know that he has no principles. You already know that, T. So I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for either one of them. I don't have to vote, and you don't have to vote. You need to know that. Anybody watching this needs to know that you do not have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Nobody's going to hurt you over it. Nobody's going to, at least not at this point. And it's definitely not the wrong thing to do. The wrong thing to do is to vote for evil, whether it's the bigger of two evils or the lesser. That's still wrong. Voting for evil is wrong. So that's my thought on that one. And if you must, like I said earlier, if you keep violating your principles in order to support these politicians, then you don't have any principles. So my what I'm trying to say here, folks, not trying to be too judgmental. I try not to, because God knows I was once blind and did not see, and I do ask the Lord to give me patience with people that are still blind and can't see, but think that they can. But my advice is, if you've been voting for the lesser two evils and you're wondering why we are where we are, my advice is to get you some principles, sit down, think about what you really believe, how the world should work politically. Consider what I said about individual rights and limited government, voting for evil, and maybe work out your own principles, and then just make a deal with yourself that you're not going to vote for anybody that does not represent or stick to those principles. And you might get duped. I mean, a lot of people got duped with Trump. He was saying a lot of good things in 2024. I had already seen what he done the first term with the COVID stuff and passing the CARES Act, Operation Warp Speed, letting Fauci run the country into the ground, the economy into the ground. And I just wasn't going to give him. He had done nothing to earn my vote. So, and I just never bought the assassination thing. I never believed it. Still don't believe it. Still don't think that it was well, obviously bullets did fly. They went into the crowd, but it wasn't from Thomas Crooks. Thomas Crooks shot blanks. And there were other shooters, I'm sure, that took out or shot the people in the crowd. They had to make it look real, but never bought any of that. And it's because that's why I never believed in Trump. It's because he never showed me. He never showed me that he had any principles. Things that he believed in that he could not be moved on. And I believe it was Thomas Jefferson, something like in matters of fashion, you can sway in the wind or something like that. And then, but he says, but in matters of principle, stand like a rock. And I've always tried to do that whenever it comes to Well, in just about anything in life, I've always tried to live by that. Be flexible on the things, basically, be flexible on the things that are fleeting and temporary and don't really matter all that much, like fashion, the trends and the fads. Don't be stuck in the past on that kind of stuff, but be stuck in the past on your principles. Don't let the current situation sway your principles. Just stand solid as a rock. And I think if more people would do that, especially if more voters would do that, I think we could fix some things. I don't know. Just some things that I've been talking or thinking about here lately, and wanted to put that out for y'all to listen to, and maybe y'all can comment and let me know what you think. Maybe I'll learn something from you. I'm hoping to do a couple more of these videos this week. I'm going to try to get to where I do at least 3 videos a week. Um, just putting my thoughts out there. So hopefully I'll see you in a couple days. We'll be watching this war. It's kind of wild to live through this one because it's so much different than the ones before because of the internet and social media. And it just seems like we are getting, and the AI, lots of AI videos out there make it confusing, make it hard to know what's the truth and what's just propaganda. But I pray that all of y'all have discernment and that you can find your way through all the weeds and get to the truth about what's going on right now. And that's about all I got for you. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.